I consider this type of work the best of people in our job. It's the best of work you can have.
At Tempero's, we are proud to be producing craftsman-built reproductions of many of the world's most famous sports and racing cars. To ensure quality, all components are produced locally, such as these aluminium wheels being cast in a local foundry.
In these castings, it's got to be right, or they can't go, obviously, on a Jaguar. It's the purest metal that you're going to get is what we call is LN25. It's a heat treatment metal. It's got to be right for heat treatment. So LN25 is the metal that you use. It's the best available. You can't get any better.
I think to make anything look right, time has got to be spent on it. As a coach builder, I can appreciate the lines of a nice motor car, and if people want them, we try and manufacture them for them. We will build anything that people want, but because the majority of people that approach us want Jaguars, that's why we build them. If it's in metal, steel or aluminium, it's not a problem. We get nothing but good feedback from our customers. The process really starts off when you have a customer who comes in and wants a certain type of motor car.
Dream come true, really, to be able to afford something like this. I thought one day I might own an E-Type. I never thought I'd perhaps get an XJ13. But I saw this XJ13 here and my jaw dropped, and I just thought it was the most beautiful car I'd seen. It's real good engineered designs, intuitively. You know, they just look at the feel and they just know it's right, and that's how these guys did it. Basically, it's very similar to the McLaren F1. If you look at any statistic on the McLaren F1, this car is equal to it. And so it's an opportunity for me to own something with that performance that doesn't cost however many £1 million F1 does. It's the beauty of the craftsmanship. And I guess that's why people like me end up ordering cars like this, because it's different, it's one-off.
You then go through the history of it. You find out how it was built, when it was built, what sort of materials it was built of. You then find as much technical data on it as you can, and you start to draw it up on a blackboard to its actual size. We then take it off the blackboard and put it onto what we call a wooden buck, which is a full-size shape in timber of the finished motor car. We then build the chassis, if it has a chassis, or if it's a monocoque construction, we build that part of it, and then the beaten panels are worked to the shape of the wooden buck and then laid on the motor car. Once the process is complete, the car sits there like its original counterpart. Unless you fire it up, it's going to sit there like a lump of metal. The first XJ13 went into the Black Hawk Museum in San Francisco. The second one went into the Bob Poole Museum in America. And this one is going to be raced by an owner in Florida. He's going to race it quite extensively. He already races one of our DBR2 Aston Martins, and he's going to race this one as well. He was very happy with the quality of the DBR2 Aston Martin, and that is one of the reasons why he ordered the XJ13. Racing against cars of the early 60s, it'll be very competitive. They race them against Jaguars, Ferraris, Aston Martins, all the makes of that era. I think the cars from the 50s and 60s had a flowing line to them. Everything was correct. I like the sports racing cars of the 50s and 60s. If you're going to build a Ferrari, say, and you need a Ferrari motor or chassis, then you go out and buy a Ferrari motor car, take off what you need. If you're racing an original motor car, to bring it up to a standard where it's safe, you've got to have good brakes. You've got to restore it to a stage where it's safe. You've got to upgrade it to a degree that it's no longer an original motor car. Most people find them so valuable that they don't want to race them anyway. So a lot of the people now that own these mobile works of art are buying the equivalent car in a reproduction and using it instead.
All of our cars are based on the manufacturer's original specifications. Upgrades have been incorporated for modern requirements of safety and performance.
You have to have a very good working arrangement with your hands. You've got to have skill in your hands to start with, and you've got to be able to transmit that skill into metal or into wood. In the coach building trade, you go right through from chassis, which is mechanical, right through to the framework, right through to the skinning, right through the upholstery. That's the old-fashioned coach building trade. My father was a coach builder before me. He was a coach builder before the war, World War II. I trained with him, and I trained my own son, and hopefully I'll train my grandsons.
Every car is lovingly and skillfully produced from sheet aluminium using the time-honored methods employed by reputable coach building companies.
Well, I suppose it's a family trait. You know, you have families that do certain things. We go back generations with farriers and blacksmiths, wheelwrights on both sides of the family. So it's sort of a skill that must come through somewhere. If you have generations of people that work with their hands, then it must be easier. You have a feeling for things. Metal, as long as you treat it properly, will do most things for you. You've got to be careful with it, you've got to be gentle with it. If you start abusing it, then it's like everything that you abuse, it's going to fight back at you. It's not going to do what you want it to. Body panels are beaten over a leather bag and then draped over the wooden butt to find the weld lines. They're all taken off and welded and then attached to the frames of the motor cars. I think if I had to have a favourite part, it would be from the technical drawings and the photographs to the blackboard, and from the blackboard to the wooden buck. That's when you first see the shape of the thing that you're going to build. After that, it's just craftsmanship and hard work to get it to the finish. You've got to have an instinct for line. You've got to have a certain amount of, you've got to have an eye for shape. You've got to have a perspective. You've got to be able to be creative in a way that you've got to take an object, recreate it from the ground up, and see it right through until it's finished. It's a bit like, I suppose, when a sculptor sees a model of something, he looks at it, his brain goes to his hand, he creates with his hands, with the brain informing him what to do, and to a degree it's what we do when we build a motor car. The old saying goes, if a thing looks right, it is right. I have a certain amount of satisfaction that it's finished, it is right, it looks right, and the customer is happy with it.
We are proud of our New Zealand heritage and our generations of experience in the field of coach building and car manufacturing. Ownership of an individually crafted Tempero car shows a rare discrimination in a world of plastic and mass production.
Chassis are built from the ground up from materials that are brought in the raw state into the workshop, cut, welded, crafted. Painting is done in-house, as is everything else. It is prepared in the usual way for aluminium, and then the multi-coats of primers and finish coats are added then. Upholstering is also done in-house, usually with leather, or whichever pertains to the model of car that we are building at the time. Tempero cars in the days of mass production are unique in the fact that they're hand built from the ground up. right from when they start right through the finished motor car, and we can change specifications on the way through to whatever the customer wants. They order them, we make them, they race them. We don't have the options of a second try or a mistake. Our cars have got to be right first time, dead right, and that's the way we build them.